Hey, alright, and welcome to a little demo of my RASCAL real-time accurate skin mesh collision generation asynchronous doodad script thingio. As you can see, we've got Unity Chan here, and let's remove that. And really all you gotta do is go into the components under physics, and you find the RASCAL Skin Mesh Collider and add it to the base of whatever mesh. You can see she's got a bunch of skin meshes actually under here, but all you gotta do is add one component and it'll pick those all up and wrap them up into one little package. And all you gotta do, press generate, and it generates some collision. Isn't that neat? Isn't that super cool? As you can see, it's 100% accurate to her mesh in this current animated state, T-pose, and you press generate and it just calculates everything for you and does everything, transforms everything, and it's all good. And if we go through the bone hierarchy here, we can see that each bone has its own little mesh collider, and the toe has its own little collision mesh. Same with the foot, the leg, and you can see the calf. It's got its own mesh collider. Each bone gets its own little mesh collider, and that means you can just animate them, and they follow along. And so that means that even without my fancy pants updating, it should work pretty alright. So let's throw that back into the example manager thing and check this out and put an animation on and check out Unity Chan here. And you can see it animates along with her quite nicely, and this is just straight out of the box, default, nothing changed or anything. But if we need even more accurate collision, because as you can probably understand, these collision meshes aren't being updated right now, at least not mesh wise, but skin meshes deform when they animate. So as you can see, there's sort of like holes and stuff that sort of get created, like very small inaccuracies really, and you might find that this is plenty good enough for your needs already. Or you can enable the asynchronous updating method, which will do its best to keep a stable performance and also update your colliders in real time as they need to be updated. As you can see, if you look sort of closely, you can see the mesh being updated as she animates and everything. If you look around the knees, you can see as her legs move around, the mesh updates, and it just sort of works. And it'll try and do its best to keep your mesh all updated and stuff, and it'll look good. But you might not even need that. Anyway, there are some options here with the CPU budget that allow you to control how long it's allowed to work on updating the colliders each fixed update of the game. So that gives you control over just how much performance you want to allow the script to use to keep it updated, but you might find that you don't need to update at all. Or you might just want to update at certain times, and you can call the asynchronous update function just once, and it will just go through, and over however many frames it takes to do that, it will just update the mesh once in its current state whenever you call it, and that's that. And it just works. It's pretty good. That's about it, really. There's not much else to show. There's some other options. I won't go over all of them. You can look at them, ponder what they might do. But of course, you can associate materials of your skin mesh to physics materials, and you can associate bones to physics materials as well, and stuff like that. So there's plenty of control over the physics materials assigned to these colliders, and that should allow you to basically add like categories for, you know, areas of your mesh if you want to, like, you know, have different zones with different colliders, so you can like detect what part of the mesh was hit via like what zone, what area, category was hit in a collision or a raycast. So that's all there and good for you. And you can exclude skin meshes, bone transforms, and materials from the generations. Like if I wanted to just not generate her left leg here, we can add that bone transform to the list and regenerate, and that bone, it's just not generated anymore, and that's kind of weird. I don't think you'd really want to do that, but at least not in this situation. But for your mesh, I'm sure you could have plenty of scenarios where you might not want to generate collision for certain bits of it, and that can save on performance and whatnot. Anyway, we also obviously have convex colliders, and I always forget, Unity complains it's gotta have 255 or less. So we just gotta change that. And then, as you can see, we've got some convex colliders here, and it's all good. Obviously they're not as accurate as non-convex colliders, as that's kind of how convex colliders work, but it's still pretty good and will work for all your convex collision needs. And that's about it. I can show this, which is just every color here is a different part of the mesh. And as you can see, we've got plenty of good performance, even with the collision on and stuff. And even with async updating on, we get plenty of good performance, and as we animate the mesh, it'll keep it updated and won't hitch or anything, because the CPU budget will make sure it just stays on a nice consistent amount, and it'll take however long it takes to update the mesh, and then it'll just keep updating, and it'll be all good, and it just works. So yeah, anyway, I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this, and it helped you get an understanding for what this is, and I hope you like it, and I'll see you later.